Thank you, friends. Thank you, Manohar and others, for this opportunity. I like the title that you've given me. You've simply said, can anyone crack the civil service exams? Very easy to handle that question, because I think I'm a good example myself. Now, I have about 10 minutes to speak. So my job is actually to, for those of you who are encouraging, who need encouragement, for those of you who need to figure out, whether you should jump into this entire effort, maybe I'm a good person to talk to. So let me just get on with it. You see, now that, it's important to know that the civil service exams does not judge you before you get to the exam table, which means you may have had struggles with school, you may have had struggles with college, but when you sit at the exam hall, writing the civil service exams or doing the civil service exams, your preparation for the exams is what counts. Now, I remember when I was preparing, one of the psychological issues that I had to tackle was that I had never won a medal in academics in school or college. Now, that was a very big challenge for me, because, when you read about so many people who cracked the civil service exams, you will find many of them, had done very well. They had won medals here and there. They've been good students in school, won medals for academics there, and then in college, and some of them even university medalists. And when you look at all that, the tendency is to get a bit worried that you are not there, that you don't have that kind of academic credentials that you can write the exams. So this was a worrying factor for me. In fact, I always joke, when I speak about my experience, the only time I came first in class was when I was in my 3rd standard, when I was studying in Coimbatore, and I was in the 3rd standard. And the guy who came first broke his hand. This guy who normally came second, he had some fever, so he couldn't come for the exams. And there I was, at that time I was 3rd. Later I slipped down even more. And, and that's the only time I came first in class. But after that, school or college, academics was, just about making it. I made it. I kind of crossed the exams. I did fairly, somewhere in the 60s, 70s, and I stopped there. But when it came to the exams, I had to sit and work and study for the exams. So the first thing you need to get out of your mind is, you don't need to have been an academician to do these exams. So you can be, you can just be very mediocre. Doesn't matter. Now, so just get that out of the way. If you've now never been good in academics, then don't bother. It doesn't really matter. Then let me go to the next one. Then what matters is proper preparation. When I say proper preparation, some of us, who wrote the exams, you guys have a lot of people who can advise you at this stage. A lot of people whom you can go to. There's so much of stuff in the internet about how to prepare for the exams. And if you pick a topic, there's a lot of stuff that you can get hold of. But in our time, we didn't have that. So at the risk of a little bit of repetition of what you've already read or heard on the internet about the exams, the second thing is this: you need to prepare correctly, which means you don't go all over the place. You don't look at all the libraries. You don't look at all the internet stuff, all of it, and try to read everything as though you're going to be one person who knows everything about everything. You have to prepare correctly, which means the time that is given to you, you will have to use it very carefully, right? So you need to understand, right? There are 3 stages in these exams, and the most important stage really is the 2nd stage. That's a really important stage. So what good academies will tell you, or someone who's prepared will tell you, it's always best to start preparing for the 2nd stage. You don't prepare for the 1st stage. And you prepare for the 2nd stage because as you prepare for the 2nd stage, you will be equipping yourself for the first stage also. And then as you get closer to the exams, maybe 1 or 2 months, you will focus entirely on the multiple choice questions which form part of the first stage. So the second thing I would say is, if you prepare correctly, you have a good chance of making it. So preparing correctly or appropriately for these exams, that matters. That really matters. So, when you go to the second stage, you will have, it's not like the first stage. First stage is all multiple choice. The second stage, there's a lot of written things that you'll be writing. So you have to write extensively. You have 3-hour papers, and you will have to make sure that you get past those 3 hours, morning, afternoon, sometimes, many times. In fact, all the exams you'll be writing will be morning and afternoon in the second stage. So preparing for that always helps you to prepare for the first stage. So this is the second thing I would say, that, prepare correctly. Prepare correctly. The third thing is, we in the South, if you don't come from a very academic kind of an institution, if you just studied in any other college, and or you had teachers who just taught you just like that, then you have to learn to read accurately. What I mean is, accurately is, you just by writing a lot, you won't get marks. You have to be very correct, and you have to be accurate. So your facts should be correct, accurate. Your facts should be presented properly. So you need to learn how to write, So writing becomes an important thing in the second stage of these exams. So even now, supposing you are studying in college, I would advise you to really go for it and write every internal assessment test or every semester exam as though you're writing the civil services. And this will mean being accurate. Let me explain this. Supposing somebody asked you, a question on the, on the impact of, I'm just taking a shot on the impact of the Russian-Ukrainian war on the international political scenario. Somebody said, critically analyze, the impact of the Russian-Ukrainian war. Now, they are talking about the Russian-Ukrainian war, but they're not talking about what the war is all about. They're asking you to critically analyze. So when you start the first line, you start your analysis. You don't write one big paragraph, as though the examiner does not know anything about the Russian-Ukrainian war, and you're talking about Putin, and you're talking about everybody else, and about the NATO impact, or you're not spending and wasting your time on all that. They would expect you to start critically analyzing from the word go. That's the kind of accuracy you will need to develop. And in college, if you wrote 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs of even indirect sense, the lecturer will feel sorry for you, and he will mark you. He'll give you some marks. I'm hoping it's not like that now anymore. But I remember, that many times somebody wrote, and I was a teacher myself for about 4 or 5 years, and somebody wrote 5-6 pages of nonsense. And for a 20-mark question, you knew all of it was nonsense. You just gave him 5 marks so that, for the time that fellow spent in the exam hall writing the exam. Now, this kind of stuff doesn't work in this exam. This exam, from the word go, you critically analyze the impact of the Russian-Ukrainian war. You see? So it becomes so important then to understand the question and to be accurate in your response. Now, that requires a lot of training. I did a master's in public policy when I was 45 years old at Europe. Now, that's late in the year, to do that. And there I found you just can't gas your way through. You need to be accurate. You need to be accurate when you write exams. So we are not used to that in our country. I would say, more than writing mock exams and all that, use your college internals, use your college semesters to get accurate about what is being asked, So even if your lecturer does not give you marks, you're being accurate in your understanding of the question and in your response to the question. So these are the things that will count, when you are writing the civil service exams. So needless to say, you need to, I had a methodology myself, and I think it still works for the main exams, where you took up topics that would normally be featured, and you get your facts right. But when it comes to the exams, you don't put out the facts. You put out what is the question that is asked. Supposing they are asking you to compare A and B, then you don't talk about A and B. You compare A and B. That's the kind of accuracy that you need for the exams. When it comes to the prelims, which is the first stage, now we are finding more and more people struggling even to cross the prelims. I'm not surprised because of the numbers involved. More people are writing the exams now. In our time, maybe it was about 4 lakhs. Now I think it's gone to 8 or 9 or 10 lakh people writing the exam. Although 1 or 2 lakh maybe non-serious. So it becomes so much more when you come to the first stage itself, to be accurate in your understanding. Your knowledge base should be good. And you may want to look at what kind of questions and were done in the previous years. That will give you an idea for stage 1 and for stage 2. Yes, but you need to be accurate. That's what I'm trying to say. So if somebody asked you a specific question, the specific answer. So the entire challenge becomes on being accurate in your understanding of things. That's really, really important. And I remember when I was preparing, I actually, used to take notes, of everything that I studied. And I would write 5 positives, 5 negatives, and I would keep it with me. Now that actually helped me to, know how to compare, know how to criticize, and at least have 5 points this way, that way, which told you what exactly the concept was. In our time, we had 2 optionals, political science 1 and 2, and I took sociology 1 and 2 and political science 1 and 2, but lots of other subjects are around. Now it's only 1 subject. So I think, it's really, really important to be accurate in your studies. The last thing maybe I will complete, because my time's almost up. You see, it helped me a lot. I had a good friend, a very good friend, who also was from MCC. His name was Gunashankar, and I always remember the friendship that I enjoyed with him, because we studied together, and he was, I would say, a lot more brilliant than me. Of course, he didn't make it, but he went on to be in the Japanese consulate as an advisor. Today, he is advising the New Zealand government, so on policy matters. So, he didn't lose anything. His studies that I found, he was absolutely brilliant. So a good thing for you guys, and I think there, Manohar, Adarsh, and the team in the IAS Academy can help you, is to be part of an ecosystem. Be part of an ecosystem where all of you are sharing. You're studying, you're debating something. One day you're debating something, one day you're discussing factually, and if you are able to sustain a conversation for 1 hour, then you develop an understanding which is, really good, really deep. So it's good to be part of a friendship circle where everyone else is also preparing for the civil service exams, so that you don't prepare alone. I would never advise anybody to prepare alone. That too, when you are in places like this, in this, where you can actually connect even with 1 more person or a few more people, it's good to prepare together. I had 1 friend, and that's all that mattered. We wrote, he got through the up to the mains twice, thrice, and I had very good friendship with him, and we spent a lot of time together academically discussing things. It is something I never did in college. So for me to be sitting with somebody discussing subject matter was a great boon. And now you have a lot of people who are serious, a lot of people in the same departments that I studied in. Today, I find a lot of students who are coming in there very focused, they want to crack the civil service exams. They know why they are there. And that's a great place to be. So the last thing I want to wind up with is, it's good to have good company in this sense of people who are writing the civil service exams. Then, you will straight away have a head start. You'll straight away have a head start. You will be correcting each other. If there is a discussion, you'll be correcting each other. If Suresh permits me, I would add one more line to that. You don't need to listen to too many lectures at this stage. If you're preparing, this is not a time to be listening to lots of lectures, lectures on this or that. You need to listen to lectures of what you don't understand, what you are not able to fully comprehend, or where you want your foundation to be strong. But other than that, you need to read by yourself, a lot of reading, trying to internalize what you are studying, and trying to come into full grip with that subject. That's what you need. So good friendship circles where you have one meaningful discussion, with one another that can be facilitated also. I would like, the academic to consider that, where you pin the topic and the rest of them come on board with about 2 hours to prepare, and all of them come and you have just half an hour of intense discussion where you all discuss, back and forth. Everybody makes one point in relation to the topic, and it should not be factual details. It should be more critical, more analysis, more approach oriented, depending on what the topics are. And if somebody makes a mistake on fact, then they should correct each other. That kind of learning will really see you go very far. So I'm quite excited for the MCC IAS Academy. I know there's been a lot of work in the college. There are faculty members who have been very supportive of the people who are writing civil service exams. They've also had classes and sessions, and there's a big group in MCC that are preparing for civil service exams. And I think the purpose of having it in the city is to encourage people who are in the city to also benefit from such a situation. All in all, I feel MCC is a winner because you are really doing the right thing at this point in time. I've had good friends who prepared and did the exams and did not make it. They did, some of them did not make it. Some of them I mentored and they did not make it. But I want to add one point here. None of them was a loser because they spent time preparing for these exams. Every one of them found the discipline, the knowledge, the depth of understanding of the system that we are in grow to such a level that they are flourishing in other spheres of life which they were not exposed to. So you will never lose because you prepare for the exams. At the same time, I want to say there's only one disadvantage now in preparing for the exams. The one disadvantage is that you have too many attempts. That's a dangerous thing. I don't like it one bit. I think one should have just 3 attempts and be done with it. Don't postpone your getting a job, getting an assignment, or getting something on which you can fall back on as a fallback option by just preparing. There are people who prepared 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, attempts, 8, 9 attempts, and still have not settled in life. They didn't take up a job, and they will find it extremely difficult to take up a job because they have not put their foot into anything. So I would advise you to, 1 year is good to be away, 1 year where you don't do anything. That's it. 1.5 years maximum, but not beyond that. If you can have a job where you can prepare 3-4 hours in the day, then well and good. I often quote Mr. Vijay Kumar, who was Commissioner of Police here. He retired. He's from MCC. He prepared from 12 in the night to 4 in the morning in the hall. He was a resident of the hall. and he prepared from 12 in the night to 4 in the morning and cracked the exam on the first attempt. That is how focused he was, and he finished it. So he was very happy that he got into the police service because that's the only thing that he wanted. So I would say, if you are very focused and you give yourself a limited time, go for it. Otherwise, God has something bigger for you and something better for you. Move on. Don't get bogged down 7, 8, 9, 10 years and waste your life just writing the civil service exams. This is something I would, advise you, because for all of us, life is not just about the civil services. I'm seeing so many people doing very well even outside. So I would only advise you to, give yourself, this space so that you do it well and then carry on. So thanks, Suresh. I think I overshot my time. Thank you for this opportunity. I wish you all well. I think with Manohar at the helm, I'm sure you're going to start counting numbers about the number of people who are getting into the civil services. All the very best to the MCC IAS Academy. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I wish we had given you more time. I don't feel like asking you to stop talking, because you have really condensed your 30 plus years of experience and wisdom in very simple language. And I hope and pray that the MCC Academy will see more of you in the coming days, even as our aspirants, continue to prepare for these examinations. And now I, call upon Adarsh, who's one of the coordinator. I'm sure there are questions. Adarsh, maybe we can take one question or maybe maximum 2 questions if you have any for Dr. Wilfred Davidar. And then I would also like you to continue to give a brief introduction to the foundation course before we call upon the second speaker.
Yes, sir. So incidentally, I think one of the questions that came in was already answered by Wilfred, sir, about the investment of time, of your money and your knowledge. You assured us that it is not a waste of your time when you prepared. So that was one of the fears that one of the aspirants had. So that is a good reassurance that anyone who has not cracked the services has gone on to flourish in different fields. The second question is a very interesting question, sir. It is asking about the correlation of competence and corruption. So there's a myth that if you are competent in your work, you cannot, if you're corrupt, you can be competent and you can get the work done. If you're not corrupt, no work can be done and you won't be competent. So as an honest IAS officer, what is your remark on that? And can you really be a competent officer and be honest?
Yeah, I first of all want to question the assumptions made there. I think first of all, your assumption is very wrong. That competence means that you need to be corrupt. I don't think that's the case at all. I think what happens in the civil services is you get in and you know where you stand. That's it. You know whether you will compromise or not compromise. That belief, could be because of your own personal reasons. It could be because of religious reasons. It could be for whatever reason, but you are very clear that you will not compromise yourself. You will not make money on the job. You will not favor somebody or the other because of some other benefits that you get. And I'm sure Pradeep is, Dr. Pradeep Philip is going to deal with that because that's his topic, integrity in the civil services. Now, I would say, once you are very clear, you don't mind where you're going to be transferred, you don't mind where you're going to be pushed and all that, then you will be bold. You will do the right thing because you don't mind the consequences. Having said that, the danger is in becoming arrogant. When you are clean, when you're competent, you can become arrogant. That is the danger. So when you become arrogant, the arrogance can come out and spoil everything that you're doing. So I've had to balance my respect even for A or B or C, irrespective of whether he or she is corrupt, with my own competence, making sure that I don't mess up on basic protocol issues. So all my life, if an MLA or an ex-MLA walked into my room, I would always stand up and receive him. If possible, I would always give him a cup of tea. Those are things you don't compromise on. You could be looking at somebody who's terrible on integrity, but you don't show it. You don't expressly try to behave in an arrogant way. That is, I think, the challenge. Because when we, supposing you keep your hands clean, your tendency is to get angry when other people compromise. Or when somebody is trying to influence you the wrong way, you tend to get angry. That's quite common. When you get angry, you tend to become very aggressive, or you just want to push the other person down, and in the process, you mess it up. So I would say competence is an entirely different ball game altogether. It is about, going out there. You've got an opportunity that God has given you, so you want to do your best. So you'll go for it. But 100% I can tell you, you don't have to be corrupt to do it. In fact, when you get corrupt, you will find that greed does not stop at the first 1 lakh that you make or the 1 crore that you make. Greed never stops. The minute you compromise once, then you've had it. You will compromise again and again, and finally kill your own self in the process, literally, if I might say so.